He come to the gym, he was about 14, I'd say 14 and a half, 15 years old, but he was a big lad then. He was a good, I reckon he was a good 6'3", 6'4", even at that age. But he come in, I think he come in with a couple of friends, or maybe just one friend, but when he walked in the gym, you couldn't miss him, because he was a big lad. He was overweight. He must have been about, I'd say, a good 20 kg overweight. He was probably about 120 kg then. But when he come in, he was just a quiet lad, just wanted to, to come down the club and try it out. When he first started, he'd come in, we'd always start off with a warm-up and a circuit and that, and obviously he wasn't fit at all. He was probably lagging behind, and that. We'd try and give him a bit of encouragement. Then we'd do like because we had loads of kids back in from 2000 onwards, really. We had the new gym built from the lottery funded, you see. So the gym was full, probably. We had 2 sessions and that. Frazer had come in, he'd be on the bag after he'd done the warm-up. But he was such a big lad, he couldn't hide behind the bag. So we was on him all the time, and he was probably that wore out. He was just really tired, and he was just hiding behind the bag. We'd just look around and say, come on, Frazer, come on, keep it going and all that, like, just with the technique and that. I think after coming about 3 or 4 times, the 2 of his friends or whoever they normally come down with had disappeared. So it must have thought to himself or clicked. He'd come down and he was there for himself then. He wasn't there for no one else. So I think at first he probably just wanted to come down and see how he was and probably lose a bit of weight and get fitter. After a few weeks, he'd got to the stage where he could probably do a little bit more in the sessions and not have a breather, like, go out to the gym for 10 minutes and have a rest. But we started taking notes of him. He started hitting the bags and that, and learning a bit more technique. Still very slow, but you could see in it then, even though he was 14 and a half, 15, pure novice, he'd got a little bit of speed about him and he was listening, and it soon picked the technique up. Yeah, he started taking a bigger interest then. Plus, we started taking him on the pads a bit more and everything like that, and giving him a bit more, talking to him fitness-wise. So, yeah, back then he wanted in good shape, but after a few weeks, he seemed to enjoy it. I think he enjoyed coming down there.
But what do you remember about his actual first bout?
Right, was there from the beginning. From his first bout, it took him probably 6 or 7 months, or probably a bit longer than that, before he got to where we registered him. He only did the sparring in the gym. He was sparring, obviously, with the senior lads who were just coming through, novice seniors. And to be fair, he put them in the place. Nice technique, nice long. He had a lovely long straight jab and 1-2s, and he was fast with his hands. His defence wasn't brilliant, but he was fast with his hands. He had his first bout in Coventry. I forget where the club was now. It was either Bulkington ABC or one of the other Coventry clubs. Boxed a lad who was also having his first bout. Frazer stopped him first round. There was just straight in the middle, all throwing shots. The lad couldn't cope with Frazer's speed and power, really. And that was his first bout, really. And after that, he was buzzing. He must have got a taste of it, and he was really into it. He even come down on the senior sessions, because we trained Monday, Wednesday and Friday on the seniors, and just Tuesday and Thursday evenings for the juniors. But after that, he seemed to be coming down at least 3 or 4 times a week. Then he had it was hard getting him bouts, to be fair, because it was only that, at the schoolboy level, and there was hardly anyone in the country, there was hardly anyone in the Middle East, to be fair, who we could match him up with. It probably took another 3 or 4 months before he had his next bout, and he boxed a couple of more times, won again on a stoppage, won on points on one. Then I think when he was about 15 and a half, 16, we took him up to Withenshaw to box Shane Fury, Tyson Fury's younger brother, and he boxed him on his own show. Frazer, he boxed really well, beat Shane on their own show. But apart from that, really, we didn't have many bouts, to be fair, up until he was about 17.
Did you see sort of improvement quite quickly from him then, or was it
Definitely
gradual?
on each bout, and also when he went boxing, which wasn't regular, he was sparring in the gym, or we'd probably take him to a couple of gyms around Stoke-on-Trent, you know, just taking a time with him really. But basically, it was always drilled into him, just basic stance, technique, and throwing the basic shots really. Although in the fights, in the bouts, he'd get carried away, you know, hell for leather at throwing the shots until he tired a bit, and then stuck him on his basic boxing. But yes, his technique got a lot better as he went along. And then when he went in the junior ABAs, he got buys again. Really, I think he boxed once in the quarterfinals. I forget who he beat there in the quarterfinals, but then he boxed a lad. I think his name was Carl Tierney from a Liverpool club who would box for England. And Frazer, he really boxed well that day. I think he stopped him in the third round up in Manchester. I think it's either the semi-finals or that was the semi-finals. Yeah. So then he was still carrying a bit of weight, but he was looking a lot sharper. And he had a bit of power. Maybe it was the weight a bit at that age, but he had a bit more power.
Was he sort of prepared then? It sounds like he'd obviously been successful up to that point. Was he almost prepared for his first loss? I mean, I guess, you know, you go a long time without losing. It must be a bit of a shock, is it, when he did?
Yeah, I think it made him more determined to come back. He was really upset, don't get me wrong, the first defeat he had. I think the first defeat he had, I don't think he lost as a junior. I think he then got an England call up because he got a bye in the final. There was no one to box him from the South divisions. So he got a bye in the final. He was obviously national junior champion at 17. I think he boxed in the GB4 finals and won. He won the GB4 in 2009, the same year. Then he got, obviously, he was training regular. I think it was just the weekends with the England squad around 2009, 2010. But yeah, defeat-wise, I forget who we lost to now. But he wasn't happy about it, which is a good thing.
A good thing, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's brought him on in good stead. You know, he gets upset, but he'll come back stronger.
And in terms of the senior ranks, then, how important was it for him to win that sort of first elite title? Was that a big turning point?
Yeah, he went in the ABAs when he was, because obviously it's hard to get in bouts and that, and we thought he was ready to go in the ABAs. I think he just turned just under 19, probably 18 and a half, around 19. He went in the ABAs, he won the Midlands, and then I think he got a bye again because there was no one about in the quarters. In the semis, he got to the semis and he boxed a lad from Northside. I think he was an Iraqi national. I forget his name, but very experienced. And I think he stopped Frazer in round 2 or round 3, if I can remember. Then again, he was the only thing that let him down that day was experience, which, yeah, in the long term is still done in the world of good.
So yeah, I understand. Was it around about 2011, Richie, that Frazer fought young Anthony Joshua?
Yes, it was matched up on our show. I think it was 2011, just a local show, no championship. Just Joshua was coming through the ranks. He'd had about 7 or 8 and won them all. But there was no one about for Frazer to box, so we had to take that. It was either Joshua or another couple of lads from down the south coast. I forget their names now. But yeah, boxed them on our show. Frazer did well. Technically, Frazer was probably the better lad on the night, but Joshua just had that instinct about him going forward, throwing lots of shots, power shots. I don't think there was any standing counts or anything that night, but yeah, Joshua looked the part. He looked the part, although he didn't have the technique, but he won. Yeah, he won on unanimous decision.
So obviously they both went on to win national titles at elite level.
Yes.
And Joshua obviously went to the Olympics, and then Frazer, I think, won it a little bit after that.
Frazer won it in 2013, I think the year was. Yeah, he boxed someone from the south and won that year the ABA title. So
what did that mean to him?
He was over the moon, because of the year before he got put out by the Northside lad from Manchester, a tough, experienced lad. I think that the Iraqi national who we talked about earlier. When he won the ABA title, it was, I mean, we all want to win an ABA title. I mean, they're still as prestige now as they are back then, and hopefully that's the stepping stone for getting into that England squad and then the international at GB squad. So yeah, it meant the world to him winning that first title, and we were there for him when he won it from the Burton club.
Brilliant, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in terms of getting on GB and going forward and almost the Olympic dream starting, when did it kind of when did Frazer realise that might be a possibility?
Well, I think obviously 2012 we'd have all loved to be in London in the Olympics. Frazer was working on that. He was only a young kid. Well, how old he'd have been? 20, now 20, 21 back then. No, not 19, 20. It was probably a bit too soon for him. Whereas Josh was 2 or 3 years older, got the experience and man strength about him. Obviously, he went on to win gold in London. So I think he'd love to have gone. And if Joshua wasn't there, he'd probably have gone on to do well in that Olympics. But but he has got a determination about him, Frazer has, even though he has lost to really decent kids on the way through over the years. He won't put him off. He'll always come back stronger.
Yeah, that Richie.
Yes, yeah. I think it's the determination, and also he was up the GB squad from an early age, really, with not much experience. And I think probably all the international bouts over the years and that, he's stuck in there. He's not had an easy ride. He's had to work for everything, every bout he's ever got in there. It's just been hard. It has been hard work for him, especially with the likes of Joshua being there first, and then you've had Joyce the 4 years later, and him getting a call up for him getting qualification for Rio. The determination of Frazer that's kept him in good stead over the last few years. Yeah.
If you were to give Frazer a message now, a few days out from the Olympics, what would it be?
I'd say, Frazer, all these years you've been waiting for this chance to go to this Tokyo Olympics now. Your chances come, take it, and make sure you get that medal. We're all rooting for you, Frazer. We just want you to do your best, mate. But whatever, we're all proud of you, and just, do the job over there. Take each bout as it comes, and you'll come back a champion.